everything going. Want to congratulate last week's winners of the evaluations. We have, I'm going to butcher this. I'm so sorry. Ixel, Marty, and Enrique. Congratulations to you guys. For the rest of you, make sure to fill out the form that's going to be in the chat. We will be giving away 3 evaluations from this show as well, so make sure to get that filled out. Also want to let everybody know we do have 80% off on any size evaluation with Apex Trader Funding right now, with some extra special discounts on the big boys, the 150, 250, and 300,000. I think those are going for about $50 right now with all of the discounts. So make sure to take full advantage of that. Go to apextraderfunding.com and use promo code Benzinga. That will always get you the best price at any time. We've got 80% off just until the end of the month. So that would be Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Don't let that time slip away. At that point, we revert back to normal stuff. So take advantage while you can. Last couple of days of that. Also, new episode of the Forge Trader podcast. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, we've got some really fun stuff, some great interviews with some of my buddies, as well as just some great content and some updates on my journey. I like to share with you guys what I've been doing. And so that's just been such a privilege for me to share. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you like it, please make sure to check it out and leave me comments on there. You can also go to theforgetrader.com/join and get updates on anything and everything that I am doing. All of that said, we're going to have a fun and fantastic show. We have Nema on. He was supposed to be on last week. We had a little bit of a schedule challenge that was unavoidable. So as you all know, you got a one-on-one show with me, which hopefully you guys enjoyed. But I'm ready to be back to normal with Nema today on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now. Nema, what's up, buddy? Welcome back.
How's it going, Gates? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. Well, listen, man, I want to let you know how much I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. I know we've had you on the show before. I think it was a great show. One of the reasons that I wanted to have you back on, some great insights, but also in some of the conversations that we've had over the course of the last couple of weeks, I know that there have been some updates and some growth in your journey as a trader. And I want to dive a little bit into some of that because I think that it's just such valuable information for anybody who's, either on the journey or expecting to be on the journey at some point soon. We want to make sure that we give real and reasonable expectations of what it looks like, man. So first and foremost, thanks, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Again, thanks for having me back. I enjoy it.
Of course, man. So, gosh, I can't even remember how long ago we had you on. Do you remember about how long it's been?
I think it's been roughly about a year.
About a year. Okay, so you were in like almost what we would call the early days of bacon. A lot has changed, obviously, on this end, but I know a lot of things have changed with you as well, right? So you've been continuing to build. What's been going on with you?
I mean, I had to take a break there. That helped me a lot for a second there, but I mean, just trying to, once I got back to it, stay consistent. Build my account, cumulative, just take it nice and slow is the new motto for me.
Right. So what happened that led you to a break? I mean, I know these are not the most fun conversations to have, but I think they're meaningful conversations to have. What was going on with you?
So I'll just be honest. I had gotten to a point where in the very beginning, I got a couple payouts, and that really boosted my, confidence or ego, whichever you want to say it is.
Sure.
And so my response to that was starting to use copy trades. So then I would open multiple accounts and try to do the same thing I did with one account on multiple accounts. And I was kind of rocky in the beginning where I was able to break even. But then it got to this point where I think mentally I was blocking myself because I was saying, hey, I know I can do this, but why is nothing happening? So then you start trying to force it. And when I started trying to force it, I started losing a lot of accounts very fast. And so I kind of had to take a step back and say, hey, let's take a month or two just to, rethink things and just re-strategize.
Well, obviously that's worked out in your favor, and we'll get into all of that here in just a second. But I think that this is such a valuable point because As I've said many times before, anytime we change any of the dynamics in our trading, we run the risk of changing the way that we perceive a trade, an entry, whatever the case may be. You mentioned copy trading. Now, listen, I will tell you right now, copy trading has been such a blessing to me, as I know it has for a lot of other traders. But the reality is there's a psychological shift there that I know, at least for me, when I'm up, let's say I'm up $300 per account, right? In my head, I'm up $300. But if I'm down $300 an account, I'm down $3,000. And so this does create this sort of psychological injustice, if you will, that really you have to realize it. And it took me a minute, because when those down days come, all of a sudden, $3,000 is a very, very different mindset than $300.
Yes.
And so we have to be able to manage that and adjust for that. I say all of this to say that, when you transition from one account to multiple accounts, going through this process, we have to be able to identify these things and start to work through them, ultimately, is what it takes. So did you work through that? Are you currently trading multiple, or are you back to just one?
Actually, right now I'm trading back to just one.
Okay.
I mean, I'm trading multiple, but not copy trader on one account. I'll trade 3 accounts, one trade on each account, and with a set goal for every day. I won't do one copy trade across the 3 accounts. I feel I'm just not there just yet, because this time I'm waiting for a lot more, I guess, proof of success before I, go to the next steps.
Right. And that makes sense. Of course, you want to make sure that you manage this growth mindfully, because look, we know something's going to happen. And usually when we have a psychological shift, it doesn't end up in extra profits. So we have to make sure that we're behaving in a way that's conducive to our growth. Right. So now that you've been back, how long have you been back at it now?
So I started back in January.
Okay. So here we are, almost May. So about almost 4 months or so?
Yeah. Yep.
So what's been going on? What have you seen as you started to get back into the swing of things?
So ironically enough, when I had stopped, it was still on the old system for Apex trading. It was still on their old rules.
Okay.
So when I came back, and again, I'll be honest, I wasn't too happy about the rules switch, because I was so used to the, $2,500, $2,000 payouts, and
right,
stacking those up. And so I was like, you know what? But let's just give it a shot. This is what it is. I use Apex. I'm used to it. I feel most comfortable with it. So let's give it a shot. And the irony out of all of it is how mad I was in the beginning. It was actually very beneficial to me in the long run, because it kept me disciplined.
Right.
In those moments where I would, have the opportunity to pay out, I would take the payout, but I only had, 500 buffer after I took my 2,000 payout. So it was a cycle of take the payout, lose the account, start from square one, take the payout, lose the account, start from square one. Whereas this time, I think I'm already on payout number 7 on a couple accounts. And so
that's crazy. That's crazy consistency, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's still, I want to take it a little bit slow, and I'm getting happy, but that 500 really made me realize, okay, you just need to understand that you need more buffer. You need more space.
Right.
You can't just take it out and then say, oh, this is going to pay for more evaluations. This is going to pay for more pro accounts. It didn't work like that in the end. So I'm enjoying the new rules, because it keeps me disciplined, to be honest.
Right. Well, and that's fantastic. And I think ultimately that's what we all want. And I can't remember if I said it on this show or on the Forge Trader podcast, but I made the comment recently because, again, what I do is I talk to traders. In fact, I talk to primarily Apex traders, and I hear their stories. I hear their stories of success. And one of the things that I kept hearing over and over and over is that when I embraced the rules, all of a sudden I realized how much of a benefit it was to me, and I started making more money. At the end of the day, what I wanted is to make more money. And look, I know that there's going to be people who are going to disagree, and there's going to be people who don't want the restriction of quote unquote rules. And there's options for that. It's called funding your own account. And that's fine, right? But for those of us that want an opportunity to really go deep, like I think, gosh, I think I'm on my 5th payout on my primary account, and then every single one of my 9 accounts has now been paid out, right? Never, ever, ever would have made this much money trading my own account, at least not at this point. And so I'm cool with the rules. Even if I don't like the rules, I'm still cool with them. Now, I happen to love them because they're still the same rules that Daryl tried to teach me, 5 years ago when he was like, dude, this is how you make money as a trader. But that embracing of them, I think, is just such a meaningful component to that growth. Now, let's talk a little more on strategy. Now, are you using the same strategy that you were using, 6 months or a year ago?
I'm pretty much, I'm just looking for, breakouts. I stopped trading range because I don't know, I just started having really bad luck with trading range because every time I thought, range had started, a breakout would go against me. So I said, you know what, let me go with the system then. Let me start trading the breakouts because it seems like in this volatility, we're having so many breakouts.
So many. And of course, that really is a big component as well. We start to see different dynamics of the market. The last 6 months have been so much different than last year was. So Let's go ahead and pull up some charts. Let's talk a little bit about what you're looking for these days and what's been helping keep you consistent as you continue to grow.
Definitely.
All right. So what are we looking at? NQ?
Yeah, over here looking at NQ. It's it's a little. Let me take off a couple of things really quick. It's a little crowded here. Sorry about that.
But by the way, while you're going through all of that, who's in this short? I saw some comments, and I've got the chart open over here. Anybody in the chat in that short right now?
Yeah, see, I have a signal. This is why I don't always follow these signals. You can see it told me to short on this candle, and right now it's already, kind of
it's already pulling back
up. Yeah. So, I mean, a possible trade I would have taken waiting to break this low.
Okay.
I guess, or I would either probably wait to break this high. That's where I would wait for right now, honestly. Just because, everything's moving pretty fast. I mean, we're not even that much this morning yet, are we?
No, not really. So ultimately, you're just looking for the extremes and swing points, and are you looking for reversals? Are you looking for breaks, or both?
Really both, because I mean, I'm just doing I'm trying to stick to one trade a day that pays out my account to where I want it to be. I'm trying to just, scalp a trade, which can get me either $100 to $200 on 1 or 2 or 3 accounts. And over time it added up, and I've, it doesn't seem like a lot on the day. I mean, honestly, my goal before when I was trading earlier was $500 a day on each account. And that caused me to do multiple contract sizes because, I wanted to scalp. I didn't want to be in a trade too long because they could go against me too quickly. So it was a formula of, sometimes I would get lucky. I knew what I was doing enough to where I could balance it out to where I'd break even for most of the time. But with trading the one contract at a time really gives me that space to be able to say, okay, this might go against me, but I'm very confident in my play. It's going to come back to me. Or versus, okay, I can tell based on the, just the price action, this is not going to go my way. Let me just cut my losses and get out of this.
So when you're seeing these key points, right? So of course these are going to be the extremes of the day or whatever the case may be. What is it that you're looking for to signal you as to whether it's a reversal or a continuation?
Previous highs, previous lows getting broken. So actually, I guess, like the one you called, this short right here, when it broke down, I probably would have taken that.
Yeah.
And then, right now I probably would still be in it. It looks pretty, I don't know. I probably would still be in that short.
Okay. And so like, is there a specific pattern that you're looking for, once it breaks? Like, okay, look, we know when it hits a level, there's going to be at least a little bit of a pause. It's like hitting VWAP or EMA or whatever the case may be. We're going to have a reaction to it. So I'm kind of trying to get a sense of, are you looking for any sort of like pattern to happen once it hits that key level that says reversal or continuation, or is it just based on what you've seen the price action do leading up to it?
Honestly, it's the price action right at that level. So when I see a price action right at that level, really like it would keep trying to push down that level. You can almost see trying to push down, but it won't go. And then that's when I'll, take the short if it's pushing down, if it's going down towards a support level and it's about to break that. Versus like also sometimes you have something that just shoots right through it. Those I'm not too, happy or I'm not too fond about, just because as fast as they shoot through your support, they come right back up as soon as you get in the trade. So I try to tend to stay those. I try to stay to something more where it's like, okay, it's bouncing off the level a couple times, and then after we break, I jump in.
And of course, that's sort of the dynamic of hitting levels. You're going to have that retest because, of course, there's going to be liquidity there, and there's going to be a jump either way. So it's trying to figure out where that move's ultimately going. So at this point, you said you're looking for 3 trades a day, 1 on each account, and then you're done for the day. That sounds about right?
Yep.
Okay. So at this point, how have you been, how committed or how consistent have you been to sticking to that rule set, or do you find yourself breaking out of from time to time?
So up until about last week, I was pretty committed to that rule set.
What happened last week?
Last week, just getting busy with stuff, and then I lost a couple accounts.
Yeah.
Probably because, when I got busy, I try to catch up from being busy. I missed a couple of days.
Sure.
So when I try to catch up, I lost a couple of my accounts. So I was up to about 2 accounts to where I had 6 payouts on. And then I was getting to my 7th payout. I got to my 7th payout. Literally the day I got to my 7th payout on one of those accounts, I lost my account.
Yeah.
So I still have one that's open, but the other one, I took it too far, because you're out now that I broke that threshold of the 6th payout. And funny thing is, me and Gates even talked about this. I had asked him, what do you think? I should just stick to my 500, right? And maybe stick to my 500. Sorry about that. I got alerts on.
There you go.
So I stuck to my 500,
Right.
But in turn, what I ended up doing was trying to make more than I usually do, so I can take out more than 500. And again, that only turned out against me on one of my accounts. Then on the other account, I said, what did I just do? So then I went back to what I was doing, and I still have that account, thankfully.
Right. Well, and you know what? That's interesting. The dynamics of what's going on in the rest of our lives. Obviously, you got busy. Some stuff was going on, and now we have this mindset of: are we 100% focused on the charts when we're in there? Do you feel like that played a little bit of a role, or do you just think it was just more of the emotional reaction when you were in?
I wasn't focused at all. I don't think I was focused at all. I think, I got into it. It was a mix of, okay, I passed this threshold. I missed a couple of days. Let's make up for, the couple of days I missed, and not being 100% in the game of being like, okay, let's really make sure we have a good trade. Because when I was trading one contract at a time, I can take a bad trade here or there because I have that space to take the bad trade. I can make it back quickly. But if I'm trying to push my profits above to my normal, I take on more contracts.
Right.
Now, in that sense, my style previously, which I would do about 6 months ago, I would sit there for 2-3 hours before I took one single trade, because I knew with multiple contracts, there's it can go against you very fast.
Sure.
So it was kind of a, mix of using both bad habits of both strategies, because on my one contract, I'll take more trades, which you should never do on more contracts.
Right. Well, and interestingly enough, everything that you're saying really says the dynamics changed, therefore I changed the way that I was trading.
Yep.
And ultimately, and it's so easy to forget. I mean, look, I'm as guilty of this as anybody. But the second that I stop doing what got me here, I start seeing lacking results. And it is a constant battle. I don't think that I will ever get past the desire to make up for a lost trade, or to size up if I'm, if I hadn't traded for a couple of days, like you said, and wanting to make up for it. But the second that you put any sort of parameter outside of I'm looking for a good trade for today, we start to see a dynamic shift. And that's really where ultimately we have the potential. Look, I'm not going to say it doesn't ever go your way. I've talked many, many times about the idea of being rewarded for bad behavior. And the worst thing about that is if you do something you shouldn't do and it works out in your favor, you're more likely to do it again next time. And the whole point of trading is not what did this do for me today? It's if I do this 100 times, what's that going to do for me? And we know if we change our dynamics 100 times, we've lost our edge.
Yep.
So here's the thing. To me, I mean, like there's no shortage of lessons in the world of trading. We will continue to find new experiences, new opportunities, new everything, and we have to deal with it as it comes. And sometimes we repeat old patterns. And look, I mean, that's just the journey, right? But once we get past it, once we start to see, look, I'm not going to be perfect from here on out. I'm going to continue to make mistakes, but I'm consistent enough to where I'm going to see payout 6, payout 7. What changes for you at that point? What do you start to see in that long-term bigger picture that helps you in those moments?
So for me, really, it was, and I'll bring it back to when my issues had started.
Mhm.
Was the volatility in the market really changed at a certain point last year?
Mhm. Yeah,
I was actually trading more of, I would say 5 p.m. Pacific time to 10 p.m. Pacific time.
sure.
And I was used to a very, very slower market, and
Mhm.
that allowed me to trade more contracts.
Sure.
But again, at a certain point last year, because of political reasons, the market volatility changed drastically.
Right.
And that's actually, again, something me and Gates had discussed about a couple of times, where I was like, hey man, I'm kind of scared because the volatility change has really affected my strategy significantly.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle this.
Mhm.
And so eventually taking that break, coming back and trading that one contract at a time was my way to handle this volatility change.
Right. It's crazy just how quickly these things will start to stack up. But a little bit of diligence goes a long way. And of course, we see that, taking that break, taking that time away, resetting and getting back to the things that were productive for you in the first place will all bring us back to that right mindset. So at this point, like I said, you're back to consistent. Look, I mean, things aren't perfect. We're dealing with, life as it comes. But
Right.
where are you now at this point in terms of moving forward? What are you looking forward to most?
Honestly, I'm just confident at the end of the day that my biggest fear was the fact of, okay, so I was doing good for a little bit there, but I was used to a certain type of market, slow
Mhm.
market, and as soon as the volatility change happened, that was a question in my mind. Is this for me? Can I handle this type of stuff?
Right.
Because the market's always going to be changed. I can't
Mhm.
just
Of
depend on the market to stay the same way forever.
course.
It's always going to react differently to different news or whatever it be. So knowing the fact I was able to take a step back, take a breather, re-strategize, and kind of mold my strategy around the market itself
Mhm.
really gave me the confidence of like, hey, just take it slow. Don't try to rush things when things go against you in the very beginning or the market changes in the very beginning. Don't, act reactionary and start, throwing a bunch of counts at it because
Right.
you think it'll make up for the losses or something.
Of course.
Just just take it slow. And that's the one thing I do very enjoy about prop trading is that I was gives me the ability to learn so much,
Mhm.
fail so much more this way than I would with my own money
Right.
because it would take so much longer to get to where I was right now with as far as lessons learned, just to be confident, overall comfortable with how I'm trading.
And the great thing about these lessons learned is that there's profit in those, in that path to those lessons. So
Definitely.
it's not like we have to learn it the hard way every single time, right? We can get some payouts, we can get some consistency, but then that gives us the opportunity to more clearly compare and contrast this behavior versus that behavior. Because if we're just trading an account and we see the value go up and then the value go down, all we see is that current value, right? But if we took out three, five, $10,000, and then all of a sudden we blow some accounts. It's like, okay, look, I learned a lesson and I learned it the hard way, but I still got 10 grand in the bank because of that other side. What that does, in my opinion, is that helps us see a little bit more clearly on the good side. We don't
100%.
just focus on, well, it rose and then we lost it. I mean, that is one sequence of events, right? So it gives us, in my opinion, a little bit more clarity, at least for me. I know that that's what it's been looking like for me. And of course, as all of you know, I'm still pretty new to the whole world of being paid out. It's fun. I love it. I'm not going to say it's easy. I had a brutal day 2 weeks ago. Friday was not a great day. It wasn't a terrible day. I definitely did better. than I did the week before at managing that situation. But I also continue to see myself statically, sort of little by little rise up. And in the end, it gives me the ability to see that long-term pattern versus just being reliant on what happens today. And did I get a payout? Did I get, or did I blow an account? Because it doesn't just have to be one or the other.
100%.
So where are you now? I mean, you've regrouped. How many accounts are you rolling with right now?
So right now,
sometimes learning burns per child, by the way.
yeah. To be honest, it's kind of funny. I always have some accounts, I guess you can say, on the back burner, just because that's how I kind of built my strategy before. So I have right now I have 2 accounts that I want to constantly trade with every day that are PA accounts. And then I have 4 evaluation accounts that are past that I'm just holding off on for now. I paid for the lifetime subscription, and I'm just letting them sit there, and I'm just not going to touch them unless, and I don't, knock on wood, unless I lose one of my 2 accounts or I can get to a place where I'm more comfortable with starting to copy trade. Because I want to start doing probably 2 account copy trade. That's why I have 4 on the back, just so I can copy trade 1 account a day and then do another single account trade a day. See how that works and just take it by ear.
Ultimately, what do you think it's going to take for you to feel that comfort in that arena? Because, of course, we know we've got to make that transitional shift.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I've been pretty consistent, and I think it's just maybe payout number 10, or I'm probably going to wait till payout number 10. Now that you mention it, when you bring it up, I never actually sat and thought about it because I think I've been probably stalling as much as I can, just because how afraid I was to go back to that mode.
Sure.
But I do need to set a point where I'm like, okay, I need to start, scaling up if this strategy is working. So I'll probably wait till payout 10, where I can get to payout 10 on 1 account. I'll start trading that single account with the copy trader, and then we'll do a single account by itself on the side.
In my humble opinion, I think the one biggest factor that we can develop that helps us with the transitional challenges like this is that identity, is having that identity of a successful trader. So I think what you're saying is by payout 10, that identity is pretty sealed when you're now. Have you been using the same strategy for that entire series so far?
Yeah.
So when you've used the same strategy for 10 payouts, that builds a level of identity, that builds a level of confidence, that builds a level of assurance. Now, would you potentially scale down your position size to where on 2 accounts it's the equivalent of your position size on 1, or do you not feel like you would need to do that?
I mean, before, when I was on, 3-4 months ago, I wouldn't even think about trading the micros. Or
micros.
So I mean, I could scale down.
Yeah.
I might maybe like you said, do 2 MNQs instead. Or I said I do 5 MNQs on each account.
Right.
So
equivalent of 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can do that, but I think I'll probably stick with 1 in the beginning, just because with the 1 NQ overall, as long as, because again, I'm not trading during the New York session.
Sure.
I will mention that. Right now I wouldn't be confident trading 1 full NQ session the way
That's
it was
a
so
big position size at New York Open for sure. When you've got 50-point opening 1-minute candles, it's crazy.
Yeah, that can kill you pretty quickly. Yeah. So I'm still doing around 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. because that works with my work schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm pretty confident with 1 NQ, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I was copy trading from last time after only getting 2 payouts. So I really was like, hey, I got 2 payouts on this. I know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm trying to go to that opposite mindset of like, I want proof of, even like, I feel more confident now. I need very, very strict proof of this works before I can, move forward.
Yeah, that stacked evidence equals identity, and I think that that's such a critical and key component to that moving into a new dynamic. And I don't want to harp on that because I know we've had that beaten to death because we've all lived it. But I do think that is just such a great opportunity to start to really make that transition and make it in a more meaningful and hopefully safer way. Dude, I could do this for hours. You know that. I know you and I have definitely had some lengthy conversations, but they only give me so much time on this. So for sure, definitely want to make sure that everybody knows that last minute, we got 2.5 days left for that 80% off. Make sure to go to apextraderfunding.com, get any evaluations that you need to add to the arsenal. Use promo code Benzinga. That will always get you the best price available. If you want to try to win one, make sure to fill out that evaluation form on the chat, and that will give you a shot at winning one of those, and you'll be emailed in short order with the information if you are, in fact, a winner. We'll, of course, announce you next week. We will be back next week with another awesome episode of the Trader Bacon Show. So make sure to check back in, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Don't miss a minute of bacon. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. Nema, thank you so much for your day, and we'll catch up soon, brother.
Thank you, Gates. I really appreciate you having me back on.
You got it, man. And I'll see all the rest of you on the next episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Thanks for joining the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Make sure to join us next time.